So Peter Whelan is my guest today, and he is conducting the Irish National Opera and the Irish Chamber Orchestra in a live stream performance which is part of the NCH live series of Mozart's Abduction from the Seraglio. Peter Whelan, hello, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Matthew. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. It's very nice of you to take the time this morning to talk to me. I really appreciate it. Now, before we get onto the opera stuff, I wanted to just ask you, you are a bassoon player, you were a bassoon player, and you've kind of jumped from the back row of the orchestra, nearly the back row of the orchestra, to standing in front of the orchestra. You know, it's an amazing thing. And I just wondered, what's that journey all about? How did you suddenly decide to become a conductor?
It's a complicated question. I'm not sure the exact answer. For my musician colleague friends, it's called going to the dark side. You're tempted away from all the fun times and chats around the water cooler to being the one chatted about around the water cooler. So there's a few big jumps there. But yes, I still play bassoon a little bit. You know, I've always been really passionate about kind of Baroque music and Irish Baroque music in particular, and it's something nobody had ever explored before. So I decided, I guess as a kind of a midlife crisis, that I kind of would try to explore it myself, because nobody else was going to do it. So I got some friends together, kind of chose to use the harpsichord instead of bassoon. You know, there's, strangely enough, there's some similarities there. You're playing a bass line, but if you don't play a wind instrument, you're free to say things during rehearsal as well. Just slightly easier in some respects. And so we got going with some projects for music that would never have happened otherwise. I thought that would be it. But then a couple of singers got in touch and asked me to do maybe some projects, and then it kind of snowballed from there.
Now, opera. I think a lot of people want to really like opera, but it can be seen as elitist, and it's quite difficult to get into in the first stages, I think. I mean, I personally really love opera, but what I was wondering really was for you about how you first came to understand opera, to find opera even, and what you like about it the most.
Yeah, so I guess maybe I've come to opera in a slightly more reluctant way. Like I wasn't something I listened to so much. In my free time, I tend to listen to Baroque music and classical symphonies and things like that. So mostly to do with the interest I had in bassoon. And opera kind of happened by accident because, of course, you end up in the pit quite a lot. And then there's a couple of operas which are just so amazing for the woodwinds, at least, but I mean for everybody. So like Mozart, Marriage of Figaro. And I remember it was such a dream, maybe a highlight of my bassoon playing career, to sit in the pit and play Figaro, because it's like all of the woodwind instruments are characters, and the writing is so idiomatic and fun and beautiful, moving the works. So then once I came to working with singers, and this will sound very, very like I'm a Philistine, but once I finally understood the words and the story behind the music I was playing, it just blew my mind. Like, oh my God, this is what it's all about. So it brought and yet another dimension to this thing I already found was incredible. So I can highly recommend it. I know it's daunting for a lot of people. Some people love it from the get-go, but just I think just take a risk, and with Mozart, you're in really safe hands.
The Abduction from the Cerralio. I mean, to be honest, that's a bit of a racy title. I mean, it sounds kind of, a bit almost X-rated. And I just wondered, what is the opera about? And if you can just briefly tell us as well, what's the music like? What are people going to hear when they listen to it?
Yeah, it's an amazing work, Seraglio. It's all kind of Turkish or Ottoman Empire based. And in Mozart's time, they were the big enemies, like on the doorstep, like the Turks had been frequently attacking Vienna, but at the same time, like you said, it's the slightly X-rated thing that the music of the enemy had become slightly fetishized. So it was kind of fashionable in a racy way to have the music of the Turkish soldiers played in polite society, and it's kind of become kind of fun as well. It's a little bit difficult nowadays because it's politically incorrect, or at least very much on the edge. The kind of Baba the Turk kind of, people used to go to pantomimes with that, but it basically only means people far away that we don't fully understand yet. I think that like the big baddies, or the wolf at the door, that's the Turks as far as Mozart's concerned, and the libretto's about that too. But of course, Mozart's such an Enlightenment personality that he shows that, you know, the Western couples, the two love interests in the story are, you know, at the beginning it looks like they're being held hostage, and they're trying to get, the two couples are trying to get back together again with this big bad Turkish Pasha Zalem and Osman, kind of caricature Turkish people, I guess, you know, like gnashing teeth and incredibly low voice. Like, it's really fun. Again, maybe not like totally politically correct, but then it's turned on its head by the end, and it shows how silly the Westerners are. They've got it all wrong. That the Turks are much more compassionate and generous, and they kind of they're the adults in the situation, and they turn everything around. And the Westerners just look like idiots at the end. But like everybody, Mozart's always got a lot of time for how everybody's a bit of an idiot, but it's okay. Also, Mozart like treats women, compared to composers at the time and libretto at the time, he just gives them a really full scope. And this one, it could seem from the beginning like a very sexist opera as well. So that's why it's difficult to stage. Maybe there's some advantages to doing the concert version. But if you stick with it, you know, you see that actually the women are kind of in charge of the men eventually. But so you get a lot of a mixture of music. You get this Turkish music, which is called Janissary music, which involves percussion instruments, winds, piccolo. It's very colorful, kind of jangly sound, and it's so cool. It's already in the overture, and it comes back at various points in the opera. So it just kind of contrasts this kind of vicious, saber-wielding Janissary music, and then the kind of more refined Western music. Also high class and low class music. So you have the upper class couple, and then their servants who have kind of more funny, light-hearted music, but they also can win you over.
Fantastic, Peter. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today. I really, really appreciate it. Good luck with the opera.
No problem. Thanks so much. Looking forward to it. Thanks, Matthew.
Bye-bye. The Abduction from the Seraglio is performed by Irish National Opera, the Irish Chamber Orchestra, and conducted by Peter Whelan, and it is live streamed from the National Opera House in Wexford. The live stream will be going out on the NCH Live website on the 5th of December and will be available for 48 hours. Take care, everybody, and see you next week. Bye-bye.